You guys, today we got the gorgeous Jessi Jackalope, one of my favorite channels, joining us today. We're going to get a UK perspective. So let's get right into it. We're going to talk about Warwick Kovalev to start off.
Well, thank you very much for that introduction. That's very, very kind. I appreciate being invited on to do the collab. This is new territory for me, so I'm really glad to be here. Thank you.
And thank you for joining us. So I'm kind of giving my opinion on the Warwick Kovalev fight. I think Ward is going to get killed in the ring. I think he should back out of this fight. I'm pulling for Ward. I actually hope that he wins the fight. But stylistically, Ward, he has a good style, sort of like Bernard Hopkins. And Kovalev, he's already fought that style. And he defeated Hopkins pretty easy. So I'm not sure what Ward is going to be able to bring to the table to offset Kovalev's power. What do you think?
I think I can see exactly where you're coming from, actually. I'm really excited to see this fight. It's not often that you get these kind of two fighters who are sort of appearing on everyone's current pound-for-pound lists. I've seen Kovalev and Ward popping up time and again, certainly in the UK, and I expect that's true in the US as well. So I'm really glad, first of all, that this fight has been made, especially as they're both sort of relatively in their prime as well. So, but I see what you mean. I mean, Ward, he does have, as much as I actually like him technically for the most part, I like his technique, I like his style. I mean, I know he's called boring a lot of the time, but not to me personally, but he does have a tendency to sort of cruise a little bit if he's not challenged. And I think that actually Kovalev will be putting him under pressure throughout. So he'll have to watch that, and whether he can stand up to the power sort of remains to be seen. And Kovalev does tend to work a little bit harder, and I see it kind of as a battle of the trainers as well. It's two of the top trainers. It's Virgil Hunter and is it Jackson, John David Jackson. So it's kind of like a battle of brain versus brawn. I'm interested to see what game plans they'll go with. So I'm looking forward to this fight a lot.
Yeah, Ward is going to have to find some kind of way to take Kovalev out of his comfort zone. Because if Kovalev gets comfortable, he's very good at controlling distance, just like Andre Ward. And he's going to have to offset that power some way, somehow.
I agree with you, absolutely. I mean, he's sort of got to find a way to use his kind of footwork and his timing to kind of try and control the pace and kind of keep Kovalev off him. But Kovalev works very well, and I think he's sort of intelligent. He's got great power, obviously, but it shouldn't overshadow his other skills. He's very intelligent in the ring as well. So I think it's stylistically, it's a very interesting clash, I think.
Yeah, Ward is going to have to make this fight very dirty, a lot of holding. I think probably some low blows here and there. He's going to have to do whatever it takes to defeat Kovalev.
I expect that too. Yeah, he's not afraid to sort of get in there and do that. I mean, I know that puts a lot of people's backs up, but yeah, I think he's going to have to get a bit dirty. Certainly use a lot of his weight and use kind of some bullying tactics if he can. As I say, Kovalev's pretty intelligent and he's got power as well, so he might have to work quite cautiously for a few rounds as well.
Exactly. And a lot of people say Kovalev has never fought that slick style. Well, I beg to differ. He fought Bernard Hopkins. And
he looked great against Hopkins.
Is Andre Ward better than Bernard Hopkins? And he destroyed Bernard Hopkins.
Yeah, I think as well, sort of Ward hasn't looked. I think he's looking good. He's looking good. I wouldn't say he's on the decline or anything like that, but I'm not sure whether he's still that kind of really sharp, slick fighter who fought Froch. A lot of UK fight fans, will have been tuning into that fight and saw Ward sort of handle Froch very intelligently and very well. And it depends whether he's still got those kind of reflexes and speed and stuff. I'll be interested to see, because I think he's sort of performed almost at his best that night. And he's been looking good, though. I mean, he took the fight sort of to ground more, and I think he might have sort of similar tactics against Kovalev, but it remains to be seen,
Do you think Alexander Brand can get him prepared to fight someone like Sergey Kovalev?
Or? Oh, no, actually.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking as well. I don't think he should have fought someone like Alexander Brand. I don't see how that fight gets him prepared to fight Sergey the Crusher Kovalev.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, it's not sort of the caliber you would expect to see going into that fight, So I'm glad actually that he's taking a challenge with Kovalev. As I say, this is why I'm happy. I think it's very good for the fans and for the sport that these kinds of really challenging pick-em fights are getting made. So I'm happy at least from that point of view. But I agree that from a game plan perspective, it's going to be very, very difficult for Ward.
Now down to the nitty-gritty. What's your official prediction for Warwick Kovalev?
it's a tough one, and I have to say I've been going back and forth on it, and probably will change my bit of a cop out, but I might change my prediction sort of closer to the time. But at the moment, I'm sort of leaning. I'm wondering whether Ward can do it, whether he can just beat him on points, whether he can sort of use his range and use his timing to sort of, and this footwork and this kind of incredible boxing brain he has to actually, in general, I tend to pick the more kind of cerebral fighter when he's in with a powerhouse. So at the moment in my mind, Ward is edging it, but I could see it going either way. It's a very competitive fight. How about yourself?
Wow, that's bold. I'm gonna have to disagree with you. I think Andre Ward might die against Sergey Kovalev. Now I want Andre Ward to pull off a miracle in my opinion, but I don't see how he's gonna be able to do it. Like I said, if he make the fight dirty, try to hold, grab, foul a little bit, see if he can get away with it, he might can get a points decision. But I think Kovalev stops Andre Ward. I know I'm gonna take a lot of flack for this, but I think Kovalev stops him, and I'm gonna say the 10th round. He's going to stop Andre Ward. KO.
I mean, that would be a hell of a result. You know, that would be a pretty exciting result. I think that's kind of what a lot of fans are wanting to see. And I think my prediction might be sort of a little bit disappointing for people if it is the kind of fight that I'm thinking it might be. I'm wondering whether it's going to be like a chess match more than a boxing match.
But Ward is going to have to make it a chess match. He's going to have to make it. Yeah. That's how he's going to have to win. He's going to have to make it.
That's how he's going to survive, absolutely, and not leaving a body bag.
Exactly. He got to survive. Forget about winning, Andre Ward. If you hear me, just survive. Survive the fight.
Good advice. Good advice.
So we're gonna move on to Triple G Kell Brook. Now, this fight is getting a lot of criticism. Criticism for this fight. Being from the UK, what's your perspective? How is the fight being viewed in the UK? Is it?
It's a tricky one. It's definitely divided people, this fight. It's got a lot of attention here in the UK. It's kind of got a lot of people talking, and from the perspective of sort of the UK, a lot of people are praising Kell Brook, obviously, for sort of going up in weight and for taking this kind of huge challenge. But obviously, compared to that is the criticism that Golovkin's getting for taking a fight with someone who's naturally smaller. But that's become sort of controversial in itself, having with Kell Brook having weighed in actually heavier than Golovkin. He's been saying, and his people have been saying for a long time, that he's been really killing himself to make welterweight. So kind of the weight difference looks extreme on paper, but a lot of us are wondering whether it's going to be that extreme in practice. And if it's not, you know, if it isn't as big an issue as people are saying, then stylistically it could really give Golovkin problems, I would say. He's very well-rounded, good speed, good technique. And he's unbeaten as well. So yeah, a lot of people are talking about this fight in the UK, absolutely.
Well, I think the criticism is unfair, in my opinion, in the United States.
Okay.
A lot of pro-Floyd Mayweather fans, they're just jumping all over Gennady Golovkin. And I feel that who was he supposed to fight?
Yeah.
Canelo Alvarez vacated his belt. He was scared. Chris Eubank Jr., Eddie Hearn says he priced himself out. Who else? Erislandy Lara, he said the fight has to be on Showtime. I'm like, who the heck are you, Erislandy Lara, to dictate to Gennady Golovkin? You can't even sell 100 tickets, and you talking about the fight has to be on Showtime? Who else he was supposed to fight?
You've got a point. I'm like, I mean, it's sort of, yeah.
And they compare this to Canelo Khan. I'm like, Canelo had a plethora of options to fight, and he chose Amir Khan. Triple G, he didn't have all those options. He's one of the most feared fighters in the game today. So I don't know who they wanted Triple G to fight, and Kell Brook stepped up, and he signed the contract. So I don't know why the fight is getting all this criticism. I think it's unwarranted, if you ask me.
I see exactly what you're saying. I see exactly what you mean. I think that's a fair way of looking at it. I mean, I know a lot of people have been calling it a cherry pick, but more like a last resort in many ways. I mean, for both of them, the Eubank Jr. fight fell through, the Jessie Vargas fight fell through, and, you know, they've both tried to get sort of this fight made. And to be fair to both of them as well, like, it has attracted attention. People do now want to see the fight. People are complaining about the fight, but there's no way they're not going to watch it, you know. So it's I can see why it's attracted a lot of criticism, but I agree with you in that it's seems a bit extreme, and certainly the people who were criticizing Canelo and Khan, the situations, as you say, were quite different.
Yeah, totally different, yeah. And none of these same fans didn't seem to have a problem with Floyd Mayweather pulling one Manuel Marquez up from 130 pounds, 3 weight classes below, with Floyd missing weight. I heard no criticism about that here in the United States, but Gennady Golovkin fights Kell Brook, and everybody's having a fit. I don't know what it is, but
I think a lot of fighters are held to different standards
Exactly.
than one another, you know, by the fans as well as sort of. I mean, I think a lot of the true fans can sort of see through that kind of rhetoric, but yeah, you do find that some fighters seem to attract a lot more sort of